All right, let's get started with our two races from Ellis Park. And we're going to do races 8 and 10. Of course, the big one is race 10. So the first one is going to be, though, race 8. And you've got the two favorites in this one, Pauline's Pearl, the 3-1 shot, and Omo Ray, the number 6, an 8-5 shot. Pauline's Pearl's the number 5. So those are the two big boys. But you got, a couple of others in here that are definite contenders. The 6 looks awfully tough to beat, John. You got the combo of Cox and Pratt, of course, and ever since Cox, and we're just talking about trainers and such. We all know Cox and Pletcher are like at the top of their game, but hey, sometimes one trainer has it over another horse, and the other trainer doesn't. And Cox has just been fantastic since taking over Omo Ray. The last 4 races, well, the only 4 races with Cox, his sheets 8, 11, 10, 8. Before that, they were like 15, 26. So he's done a really good job. He comes in here hot. He's, again, 8-5. That's the only bad part, of course. His trend line is also very good, 11, 10, 8. Do you think 6 is the one to beat, or do you think 5 or someone else, John?
No, I clearly like the 6 the best. I mean, she's had 4 races for Cox and she's won 3 of them. She ran an 8 last time out. She's got plenty of time from that race. Why shouldn't she repeat? I think she's going to be ultra tough in this spot. And
Not so
reunited
fast.
with Flavian Pratt, by the way. What?
Not so fast, my friend.
Oh,
Not
here
so
we go. It's Lee Corso.
Mulray is a small, very, very small horse. And Brad's done a great job with her. And she won 3 in a row. She won an off the turf race at Fairgrounds, which, I mean, the second and third horse came back to win, but it wasn't really much race. She came back in the Biocoa. She was good that day, but didn't beat anybody. Okay, I know La Vida was third, but La Vida was one of the Lady Jacqueline's not a great stake race. Came back in the Beholder Mile with an unbelievable ride from Flavian Pratt to win a terrible, terrible running at the Beholder Mile. Came back and faced real horses on Derby week, and she finished 4th. I know she got an 8 on the sheets, but she finished 4th, and she wasn't close. She was beaten 2.5 lengths, but it was a lot further than the 2.5 lengths felt. It wasn't really a memorable performance. I don't think she's much horse. I think that this is a solid, salty field, and I'm going to play against the Mo right here. She's just not for me. I'm not a big fan. This race is also a mile and an eighth. As a smaller filly, I don't really think that's what she wants to do, and so I'm going to take a stab against the Mo Ray as the odds-on favorite.
Well, besides Pauline's Pearl, you have the 3 Royal Take Charge at 6-1. Only 4 races, but 2 12s coming off at 12. And Moon Swag, a 6-1 shot. The Brendan Walsh trained horse with Saez combo. The sheets have looked good this year, 15, 12, 10, even though the results haven't looked so good. So are those one of those 3 we're talking about, Chad?
No, none of
No.
those 3 are my top pick. None of those 3 are my top pick. Pauline's Pearl, she's a very, very, very inconsistent horse. Between her and Clariere is obviously the better horse. They try and split them up, but she doesn't really do much. She won the race at Houston, 3 starts back on a sloppy track, but she's just a horse. She's not one that I trust on the day-to-day on the regular. Her mother was a winner going 4.5 furlongs. I don't really think that she loves the mile and eighth distance, which she's run twice and has one third place finish to her standing. The 2 Royal Take Charge is a filly that's on the rise. She's up and coming, typical kind of also a horse who brings them along slowly. I do think that she's one that I'm looking forward to, but I think she's just not fast enough yet. The mile and eighth shouldn't be a problem being by Will Take Charge out of Big Brown Mare. She already has a win at the distance. And a second, so there's a lot to like there, but I don't like her on top. And who was the other one? The
Moon
2?
Swag.
Moon Swag. I think Moon Swag is literally just a horse. She does not get my juices flowing.
All right, Chad, who is it? Who is it? You went through everybody and you didn't like anybody, so who'd you end up on?
My top selection and the winner of this race will be the number 1, Ballamore. Ballamore's coming in off a disappointing performance on the turf. She's gone this turf to dirt angle before and had good success. Uh, she runs, I think, in the turf races because she wants to go further. And there's very few dirt races going a mile and an eighth. I think she really wants to get the added distance involved. I think a mile and an eighth hits her between the eyes. Martin Garcia comes back aboard. He was aboard her a few times before, and of course, famously rode these Kaleem Shaw red, white, and blue silks to victory with Bayern for all those years. I think Bellamore is just prime to sit a great trip here, pounce at the top of the stretch and pull away. I love the 5-1 price we're getting on her. Kaleem Shaw took a lot of horses from Simon Callahan and gave them to Peter Miller. Left this one with Simon. She's a nice filly, and she's got this race just kind of circled on her calendar for a long, long time. I know she's not a filly that wins as many as some of these other ones, but she's hit the board 12 of 15 career starts, and I think today is her day to get her picture taken. So I like the one Bellamore here quite a bit.
All right. And as far as I know, there's only 2 long shots in the field. One of them is really bad, but I think it's. I'm going to throw at least an exacta with Music Street, the 8. The trend line last year, the sheet line last year, the numbers were really good, John. And I know, unfortunately, it started with a 19 this year, but at least the second race was a 16. And if you look at how he progressed last year, he got better. She got better each and every race. I'm talking 30-1. It's a closer. Maybe she gets lucky with the pace. I know she's in over her head talent-wise, but some of these things happen to work out. So I'm going to put the 8 in the exacta with the 6 and 3. John, you got the 6 on top. Who else do you like?
I got the 6 on top, and I'm putting the 6. The 6 over the 1 and 3.
And Chad, besides the 1, who do you like?
I'll throw in the 7, Hardy Constitution. This is a horse that's been well spotted by Joe Sharp the last 3 races. I think we'll be able to see out the added distance. First time going a mile and an eighth. I like Tyler Gafflione's riding as well as anybody in the country. Should work out a really good trip. So I'll use the 7 Hardy Constitution, and I'll close. Well, I'll use the 3 Royal Take Charge with Pauline Spurl as well to round out the try spot. But I really do like Ballamore. I think there's money to be made here because I'm against the 2 favorites.
Yeah, Ballamore.
So what are you doing? Excuse me, Chad. I got to write this down. You have 1 with 7 who?
3.
You got
one with the 7-3.
Okay, and I have 6 with 1-3, and Greg, you have what?
6 with 3-8.
Okay.
By the way, Bellamore, I'm not sure we mentioned this. Bellamore ran an 8 at Churchill in November, ran a 13 at Santa Anita in April. Those are the only 2 races we've seen so far out of, I believe it's the only 2, right, that we've seen on dirt?
No,
for a while.
For a while, yeah.
A horse has 15 starts, 6 of them on turf. So I guess some are on synthetic, but for the most part, these are the only 2 dirt races you've seen.
And Hardy Constitution ran a 15 on dirt in May. The best number we have on dirt, I believe, is an 11 last February.
John, are you against Bellamore, or do you use her in second?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Who's Bell? I don't like that horse. That's
John's got Bellamore as a second pick.
Yeah. Second. I don't like. I like that 8 that you saw off the turf. Yeah, but I just think the 6 is going to be very tough.
Okay.
So I gave out 6 with 1-3. You gave out 1 with 3-7, and Greg gave out 6 with 3-8.
Okay, now let us talk about the big one. This is why we're here this week. The mile and an eighth, Grade 1, Stephen Foster Stakes, $1 million purse, 4-year-olds and up. Should go off close to 5:30 on Saturday. And there are a lot of good horses in this race, even though there's only 8 horses. But you could probably make a case for at least 6 of them. Let's just start at the top. Proxy, the 1 horse, a 4-1 shot. Finished 3rd, by the way, in this race last year. That was at Churchill. This year, 12, 8, and 5, coming off a 5 at the Oaklawn Handicap in a Grade 2 win in April, John.
Yeah, listen, this is a hard race. This is not an easy race. You could make a case for a lot of horses, but to me, it's a 5-year-old that ran a 5. I understand the horse has time from the race and doesn't necessarily have to bounce, but I can't use them all, and I'm not maybe this horse underneath at best for me.
I mean, John's right in the fact that Proxy is an inconsistent sort, but his best races probably win this race. He I like the work pattern. He's got some 3/4 works. He's obviously just been freshened up specifically looking for this race. He seems like a horse who does run well fresh. Other than you throw out that race last and when he came in the Pegasus, which was just a weirdly run race. He's definitely a horse you have to use, but I mean, John's right and Greg's right. It's a very very deep renewal of this race. I'm not sure there's a lot of older horses in this division that we're missing. You know, a horse like Charge It who's been inconsistent. I think these are some of the top older horses in training right now. So it'll be interesting. I mean, Cody's Wish, we all want to see him stretch out, but for the distance, for the proven horses so far, I think these horses are right here as literally among the best. That we look to seeing at the Breeders' Cup Classic take on some of the 3-year-olds.
And then number 2 is Stiletto Boy, a 6-1 shot. Also has a nice sheet line this year, 12, 10, and 7, including a grade 1 win at Santa Anita in March. Coming off a 7, I believe that equaled a career top. And that was at Oaklawn Park in that Oaklawn handicap I mentioned with Proxy. Matter of fact, Stiletto Boy finished 3rd to Proxy in that race. We'll talk about Last Samurai. He finished 2nd in that race as well. So what about Stiletto Boy, John?
I don't like him because it took him almost a year to the date to get back to the 7. Last year in Santa Anita, if you saw, he ran that 7. It took him all those races and all that time. He finally came back to the 7. I don't like this horse.
He's been a cool horse. Look, he was a $420,000 purchase back in 2021. He's made well over $1 million since the Connections purchased him. Owned by Steve Moger, trained by his brother Ed Moger. Really, really nice people. They haven't been afraid to put this horse on a plane and travel him around the country. He's tactical enough. With Kent DeStormo, he's shown some speed in the past. I hope he doesn't go to the lead because I think there's 2 horses in here that are faster than him. But he could work out a good trip. I wish he had a little bit more of an outside post just from a strategic standpoint here. But if he's given a good ride and we find out that Stiletto Boy won, it's not going to shock me. But Jonathan's right. There's probably 2 or 3 in here that are more physically better than him. That's all.
The 3 is Speed Bias. Saez on board. A little slower than the top horses in this race. The best we have from Speed Bias, 2 9s in the last 3 races. Finished 2nd the last 3 races, John. Speed Bias.
The line is good. He ran a 9 minus last time out, and he ran a 9 1/4 3 races back. When horses do that, they're usually ready to run a new top, and he's a 4-year-old, and he's going to be a price. So people that want to use this horse, I can certainly see making a case for him. The problem is you have so many horses in this race. There's only 8 horses, but you have a couple of horses in this race that have already proven to be faster. This horse would have to run a new top. But again, at a price, not the worst idea in the world.
Luis Saez has fit this horse well so far. The 2 times that he's been aboard the last 2 starts, ran really well, gave Rattle and Roll all he's worth last time. He's another one that I know he broke his maiden off the pace, but I think he's better in front. He gets more comfortable in front. And I don't know that he's faster than West Willpower, and West Willpower's got the outside post. I envision this scenario in my mind that this horse and West Willpower and a little bit Stiletto Boy, they go fast early, and I think it sets it up for a couple of these other horses because there's some talented horses coming from behind. And that's my concern with this horse. If there wasn't as much speed signed on in the race, I would like this horse at a price. And I'm not going to knock somebody who likes him at 12-1. I just think others are a little bit better than him right here. If he wins, it's a breakthrough performance, and he joins the elite of the division. But he needs to show it. He needs to back up that big figure from last time.
The 4 is Rattle and Roll. Hernandez McPeak, first of 2 straight horses trained by McPeak. We're going to talk about 8 wins out of 15 on a fast dirt track. That's, you do the math, that's over 50% wins on a fast dirt track. Won the last 3, all grade 3 wins. Started the year with an 8, 8, and 6. Last time out ran a 10 in that win, that grade 3 win at Churchill, John.
Yeah, I didn't like him last time because I thought he was going to bounce, and he bounced, but he bounced and won. So he loses all value. You know, he ran a bad number. He ran the 10 off of the 6. But now he can make a forward move. You know, the problem is he's going to be overbet because he's now won 3 in a row coming into the race. So from a value point of view, he kind of loses some value.
You know, it's interesting you say that, John, because I don't know that he does. Uh, I I think he's a grade 3 winner, grade 2 winner. You know, he has not really accomplished as much as his stablemate and Brad Cox and Proxy, another grade 1 winner and Stiletto. I don't think he drops. I mean, he's 4-1 morning line. I think he goes off something similar to that. And I got nothing wrong with 4-1. The interesting thing here, and this is an interesting point of note. So for 3 weeks, there was back and forth what was going to happen with Rattle and Roll and Smile Happy. Owned by Lucky Seven Stables, trained by Kenny McPeak. Both horses were ridden last time by Brian Hernandez. And it looked like Smile Happy was going to go to the Met Mile. Then it looked like Rattle and Roll was going to go to the Cornhusker. He was going to keep them separate. Then Smile Happy was confirmed for the Stephen Foster, and Rattle and Roll still wasn't going to run here. So now you say to yourself, okay, well, what does this mean? Or both horses just they want to get a stallion deal. They're chasing a big race. It's winning you're in for the Breeders' Cup. That's a $150,000 bonus if you win this because that's the entry fee for the Breeders' Cup Classic. So, I mean, that is something to keep in mind. Speaking as somebody who paid the $150,000 and didn't make it back in 2018. I think it was very, very weird. I'd never understood why they ran him back in 2 weeks off the big race at Pimlico. So when he bounced, it didn't surprise me. What impressed me was that horse was gone in front of him, and he ran him down last time out. He was ultra, ultra impressive. I know the number wasn't sexy, but the way he did it really, really impressed me. I've been a big fan of his for a long time. And the fact that he's coming back in this race, to me, screams, you know what? He's doing really good. He's in great form. He just had to one work, but he seems like he bounced out of those last couple of races really, really well. Let's take a shot. And I would imagine that jockey Brian Hernandez had his option on which horse to ride here. And I do think that Smile Happy goes off at a lower price. Brian ends up on Rattle and Roll, and there is something to that for me. So I'm going to prefer Rattle and Roll over Smile Happy, and is a must use.
Okay. Let's move on. I was a little bit distracted there. Let's move on to the 5, Smile Happy, 3-1 shot. And coming off of 5, John, in that grade 2 Ali Sheba win at Churchill in May. So what do you think about now? It's been a couple of months, but still a 5. That's what? Well, it ran a 7 last April, so it's a it's a 2-point top to the 5. What do you think about Smile Happy?
Yeah, but every time the source runs the top, watch what happens. 7, 16. This year, 9, 13. You know, as the favorite at 3-1, I would play him to react off of the 5. I want to try to beat this horse.
I'm not a fan of this horse. I haven't been a fan of this horse. Kenny McPeak's been quoted in the past that he's very, very difficult to train. He runs well, and that race he ran last time was back quick from the last race. Coming in fresh is not ideal. I don't like the fact that this horse won on Derby week and then didn't breeze again until the end of May. That indicates to me that even if the Stephen Foster was the goal and not the Met Mile, it doesn't indicate the picture of health and everything else like that. So I'm against this horse here. I know he's run 2 monster races, but he's like the Midwest version of Charge It, and he's just very, very unreliable to me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask: is this what's the next race for these classic Breeders' Cup contenders?
The Whitney, the first Saturday in August. The Whitney.
Oh,
At
so
Saratoga. You'll
wow.
see them at Saratoga.
So we got about 6 weeks for that. Okay. Next up, the 6, West Will Power, 7-2 shot. You got Cox Pratt combo. That's always dangerous. The horse is coming off a 7 in that Ali Sheba race that was won by Smile Happy. Before that, ran a 3 in the Grade 2 race at Fairgrounds, winning that race. The best we've seen before that was the 7s, I believe. So, what do you think about West Will Power, John? 6 years old now, I believe this is the oldest horse in the field. But West Will Power, a couple of races ago, running a 3.
Yeah, who else could say that? No
No
one
one.
else. No one else in the race has a 3. It's Cox. He's got time from the 3. He bounced last time out, which is good because the Smile Happy beat him, so maybe they'll go for Smile Happy. I like this horse a lot more than I like Smile Happy. And I guess I'm going to end up on this horse. I can't. It just seems like I keep ending up on Brad Cox horses, but that's just the way it goes. There's
That's not a
nothing
bad
wrong
thing.
with the horse. No.
I mean, this horse does have a race under his belt at Ellis Park, running in the RA Cowboy Jones Stakes. First time out for Brad Cox, running second behind Injunction. Look, obviously he's gotten better since then. He's a consistent sort as far as the numbers that he runs, but he also doesn't like to win that much. He's 6 for 16 lifetime. I guess nothing to sneeze at, but he has the 7 seconds.
That's 30%, Chad. He's won 30% of his races. I mean,
Yeah, but I only won 5.
Okay.
He's a horse that I think likes to have things his own way. I still haven't really forgiven him for his defeat in the Clark, and maybe I should have. And it was 4 starts back, and he's run fine since then this year. But he was home in the Clark, and he found a way to get himself beat by proxy. I see him hitting the board. I see him running a big race. If he wins, he wins. But I'm gonna try and beat him. I don't 100% trust this horse, and I'm gonna ride or die with somebody else.
All right, the 7. Yeah. The 7 is Last Samurai, also running at Ellis Park. The only other horse that has an Ellis Park start. That was last August. Actually ran a 9 in that race, finishing 3rd. This year, if you take a look at the sheets, really, they've been better than last year. 11-6. That was the February Grade 3 race at Oaklawn. 2 8s and a 13. So, unfortunately, after the 6, going the opposite direction a little bit, John, D. Wayne Lucas trained Last Samurai.
Chad was talking about horses for courses a few minutes ago. And if you talk about horses for courses, this horse absolutely loves Oaklawn. Last year, ran the top of an 8 at Oaklawn. 2 years ago, ran his top of a 10 at Oaklawn. This year, the 6, the 8, and the 8, all 3 at Oaklawn. Now, outside Oaklawn, he doesn't do quite as well. And for that reason, I think he's an Oaklawn horse, and I don't like him.
Don't forget what else you always had at Oaklawn, John.
What happened?
Don't forget what else you have at Oaklawn.
What else you have at Oaklawn?
Lasix.
Oh, Lasix, exactly. Thank you.
Lasix. Now you're going to a track where there's no Lasix, where it's hot out. He's getting a little bit older. D. Wayne Lucas likes to run his horses. He's not afraid to run them. Already 5 starts on the year. Like the fact that it reunites with jockey Christian Torres. Christian Torres gave him 3 tremendous rides. I know they were at Oklahoma, gave him 3 tremendous rides over the wintertime. But look, I've been wrong on this horse when he won, but I'm still going to be off this horse. He's just not for me. It's just not for me.
And then the final horse in the field is the long shot, but still a horse that you need to keep an eye on, and that's Happy American. That's because the sheet numbers this year are okay. 9, 9, 8, 9. The one bad race was the 16, but you can draw a line through that because this horse historically runs a lot of 9s and 10s and 11s, but mostly 9s and 8s this year, John, and you are getting 20-1.
Yeah, but he's a little slower. I mean, listen, if nobody shows up, obviously he has a chance, but he does break from an outside post, and he's a little slower, and a 9 is not going to do it for you here.
Look, I love the consistency that this horse shows. He's not flashy. He's not great, but you know what? You're getting 20-1 on a horse. You know what you're going to get. When some of these horses are a little bit more inconsistent, if you're playing a trifecta or a superfecta, and this is the horse who's 20-1, he's a must-use on the bottom of your tickets, and see if you can't get lucky a little bit with him rounding out the try at a big price, because he runs well enough to not be 20-1, if that makes sense. It's interesting because maybe I look at it wrong, because the odds are really reflected upon your chances to win the race. And maybe he has a 20-1 shot to win the race. But I would say he has a 5-1 shot to hit the board. I
Interesting.
don't know.
Listen, at 20-1, you can't knock the horse. He's just consistent. He's got 5 races this year. 4 of them are 9 or better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's all.
yeah, Chad makes an excellent point there. He really does. So,
John, who is your top pick?
I like the 6 West Wolf Power. I will play exact as with the 1, 3, and 4. 6 over the 1, 3, 4.
Chad, who's your top pick?
I'm going to go with Proxy. I'm going to go with Proxy on the rail for Godolphin Stables and Mike Stidham and Joel Rosario. I think this is a great renewal of the race. Really, really looking forward to this. Thinking about going, probably won't, but thinking about going to the P Patch down at Ellis Park.
No, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah, thinking about it. I'll play him with Rattle and Roll and West Willpower and Happy American. I'll use all 3 because you get rewarded on Happy American. And I think it's a great betting race because, look, I mean, right now, even the morning line, you have Smile Happy as the 3-1 favorite. You don't see a lot of grade 1s where the favorite's 3-1. I mean, there's going to be, I think, some value here. If you have a strong opinion on the race, you can get paid because, again, Happy American at a big price underneath. And I think, throw a net over the favorite. I mean, John, I know this is tough to do, but you like playing this game a little bit. Who do you think goes off as post-time favorite, and where do you think they are?
Well, hopefully Smile Happy goes off the favorite because I want to play against him, right? He's 3-1. He beat West Willpower last time out, so maybe they'll really go for him.
But I mean, at 5-2, I mean, I can't see him much lower than that.
The favorite will be 5-2. You're right.
Yeah, I think it's it's a good betting. It's a good betting race.
Listen, I have no problem using your 8. I really don't. And at 20-1, maybe I'm making a mistake. Maybe I should use the 8 instead of the 1. I don't know. It'll be a game time decision for me. But I give a slight edge to West Willpower. He has that 3-2 starts back, and no one else in the race could say that. So I'm looking at numbers. I play off of numbers, and that's the way I see it.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those races that you got to wait for the odds to come out almost.
Yeah, that's why I call it a game time decision.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. We don't really often talk about this, but in a race like this that's so competitive, and they're horses of such proven form, so it's not like there's a hot tip on one, a first-time starter or something like that. The double will pays going into the race. Do you look at them? Do you see
always
a heavy favorite?
Always. I always do to get a feel for who the favorite is. I always will do that, even if it's a regular 10,000. I always do that. It's one of the rules in the toolbox.
What was that question, Chad?
As far as looking at the double will pay, so you look at the 9th race when there's 10 minutes to post or whatever. If the 9th race, you look at the 2 or 3 favorites in the 9th race, and you see the will pays in the double.
You get an idea of who the favorite will be in the 10th race.
Maybe they're backing.
So I always would do something like that, and it's important. You should try to do that. It's a good handicapping, something you should use.
All right. So again,
all right, boys.
The picks. John went with 6 over 134. Chad 1 over 48. I was boring.
1 over 168. Let's 1 over
1 over 468.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to use West Willpower. You can't not use West Willpower.
And I'm boring. I'm going to do 6 over 1-4. But in race 8, I want to remind everybody, John went 6 over 1-3. Chad went 1 over 7-3. And I went 6 over 3-8. Next week, what do we got next week?
We got something.
Next week,
Belmont Derby. Belmont Derby next week.
All right. Is that a grass race, isn't it?
That's your favorite grass race, grade 1.
All right, boys. I got to run, so I will talk to you next week. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Stay safe. Be well.
All right. So I am going to wrap it up on my own and just take a look at next week. Those races at Belmont, you have 2 grade 1s. You got the Belmont Oaks. You got the Belmont Derby, as they mentioned. The Suburban, that's a grade 2. The Victory Ride is a grade 3. So I'm pretty positive, taking a look at the rest of the action next Saturday, that we will be doing races at Belmont Park. So that's July 8th's card. Just a quick look ahead at July 15th, see if I see anything that sticks out. And no, oh, Saratoga, of course. Oh, that's awesome. I should have realized that. Kicking off our Saratoga coverage on July 15th with the Grade 1 Diana. So that's pretty awesome. It's in 2 weeks, the Saratoga. Want to also remind everybody about Patreon. So if you have yet to sign up at Patreon, all you have to do is go to the link in the description area, send you right over. It's an easy process. $5 a month. That's it. If you want to pay more, you can. Matter of fact, we're going to come up with some bonuses. If you pay more than $5, you're going to get this, that, or the other thing. So we'll update you on that. And I promise you, we are going to be getting close. Maybe next week, we'll be all ready to go with our Discord community. So many things going on. As you can see, we've got new artwork, template, gadgets. So it takes a lot of time to put all this together. But the next step, I promise, we're going to get to Discord. And hopefully by next week, you'll be able to chat with Chad and Jon on occasion. Of course, they're very busy men, but it'll give you an opportunity to at least put your questions out there directly that Chad and Jon can answer, not just on the show, but because, matter of fact, the Discord community is going to be an opportunity for you guys to interact with Jon and Chad outside the show. And we'll still mention some of the questions and maybe even talk about some of the Q&As that went on Discord. And sometimes Chad and Jon, maybe there'll be a busy week and we'll be able to get to those questions on Discord, but we'll do what we always do, same thing here with our YouTube questions, and answer them on the show. Anyway, we're always going to get to your questions, but the Discord community is going to be a lot of fun. And, once we all get into a groove of using it, it's also going to, hopefully, I hope, be a way for even these guys. So, Mike, remember 5 minutes ago, we just talked about 2 minutes ago, we just talked about, this was going to be a race. The Foster was going to be a race, a game time decision. Well, the Discord community will give you an opportunity maybe to find out, okay? Maybe it's a couple hours before the race or an hour before the race. Throw out a question to Jon regarding the race. Hey, now that you know what the odds are, who do you like? Hopefully, Jon will have the time to answer you. I believe it's going to be easy for Jon to use. I know technology sometimes, it's hard for me. I can imagine how it's been for Jon, but I'm going to try to make sure that this is as easy as possible for Jon to use, just like a text. And this way, the more he can communicate with you guys straightforward instead of having to go through me or on the show, the better. But anyway, that's just a little bit of a tip of why the Discord community can be really cool and valuable, because there will be times that you will be able to talk to these guys over the weekend and not just on the show. So we are, or actually these guys are already out of here. I'm out of here too. Thanks as always for tuning in, and we will see you next Thursday. Or if you're tuning in on YouTube because you haven't subscribed yet on Patreon, we'll see you next Saturday.